On the refineries, our refineries today compare very well with the Southeastern Asian refineries, on average 50 years. But the future is not on liquid fuels or crude. The future is on integrated energy, which includes renewables, solar, wind, power, and hydro. That's where the future is, because hydrocarbons are the thing of the past purely because of environmental concerns. Umudise on SOEs. We have more than 740 SOEs. In governments that are well run, these are a good source of wealth and source of employment and skills. Even in apartheid, most artisans, fitters and turners and boilers and electricians were trained by Transnet. Since we came, we used these as looting machines. We don't need an SAA. It's a novelty project. It's a vain project for the middle class and the people who have got money. If you let SAA to collapse, other airlines will fill that space. We don't need to own our own SAA. Had we sold it for R1, we'd have saved ourselves 20 billion of the bailouts. But we know that we could have sold it to Emirates when they wanted to buy it. The old administration that practiced state capture said no, because they thought their time to eat was going to be curtailed. So all those SOEs can be sold as far as I'm concerned. But a good example was Telkom, for instance. It was going against the wall at great speed when Dinapule was the Minister of Communications, and then a new board was put in place. The CEO was Thomas Seroke, the chairman was Dr. Jabulani, Albert Mabuza, and they turned it around. Within a year, they quadrupled their share price. But remember, they used to own Vodacom, and they sold it because they were bankrupt, and then they used the money that they got to start their own cellular company called Data, which also almost died. So you can see that we are beginning not only to take the golden eggs, but to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. We are now selling family jewels. Lastly, Mzolisi is saying we are totally dependent on other countries. I mean, that's true. To give an example, everything that we now import, we depend on logistics. Most of them come from China, including the ANC T-shirts, by the way, that has the president's face on the front. They are imported from China. Why? I don't know. When we used to have a vibrant textile industry, especially around the Western Cape. Is it going to accelerate localization? It must. If we don't, then we're foolish. Japan has 128 million people. China, 1.4 billion people. But Japan colonized China and most of Southeast Asia in the past. In fact, Japan today has 20 million Japanese working in China. They've just paid $2 trillion to Japanese companies to say, move your operations from America, bring them back home, to make sure that they reduce this dependency and they build their localization for the next 100 years. We are still dependent on PPEs, come from philanthropists coming through China Air and Cuba and etc. You can see we are not thinking strategically about this. It was President Thabo Mbeki who said, if we don't think for ourselves, we place our future in the hands of others. It is up to us to create our own new world.